Welcome to Never Rewrite. I'm Isaac Askew.
And I'm Jeffrey Sherman. And today we're going to talk about pushing pain to the users, also known as the trap of externalizing costs. And the idea here is at certain levels, or in all things, there's a point where you're like, hey, do we keep making this feature better, make it more useful, or do we go on and do something else? And if you cut too early, you will push pain to your users. You will have something that's clunky and difficult to use. It'll be buggy. There'll be problems. And ideally, you never do that. But ideally, there's infinite time and there's also infinite resources, and none of that is true. And so I've been in many situations where we have pushed pain more or less intentionally. So I thought we'd go through it. So
Sure.
It is more acceptable to push pain to your users when it's internal software. Right? If you have software that the only people who are going to use it are the employees at the company that that you're working at, you can get away with pushing more pain. And the most extreme example I have is I was working at a mortgage company, and there was a feature, there was some paperwork that needed to be done, and a developer could spend like 3 months writing something that would automate doing the work, or it could be somebody's full-time job. And the CEO looked at me and he said, look, by the time I spend 3 months waiting 3 months for it to be done and then automated, I could hire someone fresh out of college with a liberal arts degree, pay them $40,000 a year, and I could have them do the work forever, and it would cost the same for about the next 2 years. And within 2 years, who knows what's going to happen? So don't do it. Computer programmers are more expensive, and there's more valuable. It's not that we were more expensive. It's there are more valuable things we could be doing, and he could hire a human to do the job of a computer cheaper, more effectively.
That's definitely. I've seen that in many jobs, including one of my most recent ones. A very similar thing where there was like this. People were. You could either mass upload, work on a feature for mass uploading new payees that you want to onboard at the company, and what kind of do they accept ACH versus MasterCard and Visa, and all these things about configuration for the payees, or let somebody just go through the spreadsheet one by one and do it. And everyone agrees writing something that would parse the spreadsheet and just do this for you is the correct solution.
Right, way better.
It depends on your time for sure. Like the infinite time and resources is definitely the constraining thing. Because for the longest time, I wasn't able to get to it or help out there. And I'm like, how many are in the spreadsheet? And they're like, 200 today. I'm like, okay, well, I'm pulled off to work on this other pretty important task. So I unfortunately cannot get to it today. I don't know how long it's going to take me to write and test this parser. So can you guys just turn away? We'll try to find a way to divide and conquer and get 4 people inputting it one by one. And we had to do stuff like that. And, various flavors of that over the years too, where if your principal engineers or any other engineers for that matter are all booked up with work, and you're in a pretty struggling time with the company, if that's the way it can be done, you've got other hands on deck who can do it that way. You got to push the pain to them, and hopefully, even longer term.
If you take it from a cost analysis standpoint, if you've got a senior engineer, or if you've got an engineer and they're working on a feature that's going to bring in $1 million a year in revenue, or they could work on a feature that's going to save you from having to have an employee at $40,000 a year in cost, which do you have which do you do? And the answer is obviously you have them work on the $1 million feature, and you have an extra employee because you don't have time to automate them out of existence.
And to your point too about you don't know where we're going to be at in 2 years. Like if that buys you time for 2 years doing it the manual way, let's say in my example, 2 years from now, our payee onboarding program has slowed to a screeching halt, and now we're doing something else. And now whenever we do onboard a new payee, it's only one every 3 weeks, which is totally easy to do and would make all the work I did with the parser kind of invalidated because you could just manually do it.
It wouldn't be invalidated, but the ROI wouldn't be there. It wouldn't pay back.
Yeah, essentially what I'm saying.
Right.
So, 2 years now, okay, well, we should have gone the other route. We would have lost money.
And
so you don't know. Yeah.
and we're talking euphemistically, but remember, we're talking literally pushing pain to humans, because
Yeah.
the oh well we don't need this anymore means that you then lay somebody off because you don't need that role anymore. It's like, oh well, if I wrote the software, then it's a sunk cost. I've now spent all this
Hmm.
time and money writing the software, and it's mine. If I have a human doing something manually, I can just let the human go.
Sad but true.
Sad but true. Like it's this weird area, and it's also sad but true in the internal software world, where
Hmm.
it's your customers. If you're writing software for internal use, your customers are employees of the company, and they
Hmm.
really don't have a choice about using it,
Yeah.
which is an important thing. Because the other side is, hey, you've got software where people are choosing to pay for it or choosing to use it, and they can use something else if they don't like it.
Hmm.
And there, the reasoning is totally different, because you can push pain to users and they will leave,
Hmm.
right? And so there, the question isn't, does it make sense to push, if you've got a feature and you're like, oh, well, I want to do this $1 million feature, but it will leave these other features undone, and then I'm going to lose customers. Suddenly the
Yeah.
number, it looks different. It's an entirely different calculation of, oh, well, how many customers am I going to lose? How many am I not going to gain because of this? What's the, long term? There's a lot of variables in those kind of calculations, which rounds to, generally, you don't want to push pain to customers who have the choice of leaving.
That makes sense to me. Yeah. If they're internal, I mean, your employees, they can kind of deal with it a little bit longer. You're paying them.
Right.
Yeah.
You're paying them to use the software. They're not paying you.
Right. And the external ones, they're like, well, this other company can do a little bit better. I don't have to deal with all the hassle, the clunkiness.
Right. And yeah, because I do see people still making the decision to push paying to paying customers. Of, oh, well, um, a recent one I've been dealing with is, hey, we have this feature. This feature runs in the background for an hour or two, and we never tell them about it again. You say start this thing, and you have no way of knowing when it's done, and people want to know when it's done.
Some async process to like parse data or something.
Right, it's an async process to update a bunch of data, and people would like to say, okay, when this thing is done, I want to do the next step, but we never tell you when it's done. And so
And
I've been arguing that, hey, this is a problem, because people call up support, right? And that's very expensive.
yeah, so that's a good argument for it. Some good ammo there is how much customer support time it's burning.
Right. Well, I'm just burning. I'm going on the higher level of, look, this is a bad experience for our customers. We shouldn't do it. But yes, the brass tacks of, look, not only is it a bad experience and it hurts us as a experience, but people then call up customer support and they're annoyed,
Hmm.
and customer support is expensive. Right?
And so is
Humans
this the
answering
same kind
phones.
of situation where you don't have resources or time to go and add that alert that it's done in this particular case?
Correct. In this case, we are resource constrained, and the developers are working on large, theoretically very valuable features.
Hmm.
And so this small feature that adds no theoretical value, because we've had it, we've had this background processing thing for 8+ years, and it has never told you anything. And we,
It's
have
always
had,
been broken. Why fix it now?
well, it's always been incomplete. It's not broken.
Incomplete.
It's always been incomplete, and the solution has always been call support, right? There's your manual humans doing the work.
Hmm.
And it's been that way for at least 8 years. Why do we have to do it now
Yeah.
when I could be having my developers work on something larger and more expansive? Which
I feel
isn't.
like that would be a good situation where, like, surely not every single developer at the company is 100% booked to where even like the new junior devs couldn't take a look at like adding an alert that when it's done, it feels kind of crazy because I mean there's almost like a morale thing to it too. Like now you're writing code that's frustrating people, and even though technically you shouldn't fix it because of
Mhm.
reasons, you want to because you want the customers to be delighted because you feel good about your job whenever you make people happy too.
Right.
So there's a little bit of that emotion in there too, at least for me.
Well, for me too. That's why I keep tilting at this specific windmill. I've been tilting
Mm-hmm.
at it for months. And I think part of it is a very siloed pushing pain to paying customers is it's a sign that you have a very siloed view of the company
Yeah,
or the product of, oh look, I'm going to push this feature and it's going to add all this value, but the pain that I'm causing by using these resources and not fixing the problems, right, deferred maintenance,
yeah,
isn't my problem. Those customers that we lost because we didn't fix something because we're working on something new, not my problem,
right.
or not even probably visible to me.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what I'm thinking in this particular moment. My eyes kind of like just kind of glaze over because I'm like trying to find a good analogy for it. But it's just like it's an interesting concept when it's almost like you're picking up new customers and just
Mm-hmm.
kicking off old ones. Just because you're like, let's just keep this thing going. Let's just keep the money flowing. Screw the other people who are, loyal the whole time. We don't care about them because that's not the feature we care about anymore. New people, new people.
Well, I have a
Something about
whole
that just feels
rant
wrong.
about SaaS anti-patterns that
Mm.
punish long-term customers. We should do a whole.
Yeah,
We should do a show
exactly.
on
Yeah,
that.
we'll do that one next. Because yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna write it
I
down.
get the business case, blah blah blah, and follow the money, but like, just don't be a dick either, though, right? It seems like you should at least support,
Right, so things
loyal
you shouldn't have to
customers.
write down. Don't be a dick to your customers.
Yeah, it's one of those sad state of affairs where like money talks. I get that, but also like if you want to be good at what you do and also retain um, good employees, you should also let them be able to like get feedback from customers, sit in on meetings, and like this we can get off on a different chat for that
Well,
one.
I think
Yeah.
part of the interesting thing is do you get feedback from customers? Do you sit in on meetings?
Hmm.
Most places I've been, especially places where the externalizing pain, treating pain, customer pain as an externality, don't.
Hmm.
And the really weird place that I was the mortgage company where I did sit in on those things and that we did know about the pain and we ran the numbers and we said, we're willing to accept the pain. We're willing to accept their pain as a condition of the employment
Hmm.
so that we could go after something else. And that's more of a, if you're in finance, anything involving money, where the point of the company is to make money, you'll find that thinking more prevalent where
Yeah.
the point of, we're here to make money. We'll do the thing that makes the most money. If you don't like it, there's the door and we'll hire someone else.
Yeah. I could see that, but also again, like
It's
sometimes
not,
it's just a couple of easy things. Just give me like a coffee break real quick, and let me just tinker here and add that alert real quick.
yeah.
You know, I doubt that there's so many people that you're like, we can't lose a moment of time to deliver this feature. You're like, dude, it will take 15 seconds. Just let me go in there and add an alert.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Well, I think to summarize it,
Hmm.
you could push pain to your users when they are internal employees and they don't have the option of telling you that they won't use the software. And you cannot push pain to your customers if they are paying you to use your software. That's the dividing line. But if you
Makes
do
sense.
it, you're going to, besides the hurting your customers, if that doesn't motivate you, it will diminish your pride in your own work.
Hmm. Agree with that.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all for listening. I'm Jeffrey Sherman.
And I'm Isaac Askew, and this is Never Rewrite.